You can change your next 6 months with clear choices made every day and a plan you follow without excuses. This book shows simple steps you can start using tonight that add up to real change in half a year. You will learn how to pick one daily habit that sticks, how to set realistic targets, and how to break big aims into tasks you will actually complete. Read on to discover short routines that sharpen thinking, quick practices that raise energy, and straightforward methods to remove what wastes your focus. Each idea is practical and small enough to do on busy days and strong enough to change outcomes when you repeat it. Expect honest advice about discipline, how to handle discomfort, and how to keep moving when results are slow. You will get exact questions to ask yourself each morning and each week, quick tracking tools to measure progress, and simple ways to protect your mental space so you can work without being drained. This is not theory. It is a hands-on guide that moves from clear goals to daily action to steady review so you create real momentum. If you stay with this through the full chapter sequence, you will leave with a 6-month plan, a set of daily habits and the mental habits to keep improving after those 6 months end. Listen for the practical exercises and try one of them as you read, because action today starts the change. By the time you finish, you will know how to shape your days, build stronger habits, and make steady progress toward a life you respect. Chapter 1. Build new habits with daily consistent actions every morning. You wake up every morning with a choice that most people overlook. The world has not yet demanded anything from you. Your phone is still silent. No one has knocked on your door. In that short space between opening your eyes and stepping into the noise of the day, you hold something incredibly valuable: control. How you use your mornings is often how you shape your life. Most people rise and fall to the rhythm of habits they built without thought. They check their phone before they check their mind. They drink coffee before they drink clarity. They move through their day responding to life instead of creating it, and they wonder why nothing changes. 6 months sounds short, but 6 months of intentional mornings can change the direction. New habits are not born from motivation or inspiration alone. They grow from repetition, from the quiet decision to do what matters, even when it feels easier not to. Each morning is a new beginning, not because the world resets, but because you do. The mind is most receptive in the early hours, when your thoughts are still untouched by the demands of the day. This is when discipline has the power to take root. This is when the person you want to become can finally speak louder than the person you have been. A morning routine is not about routines for the sake of feeling productive. It is about building the foundation for a life you can respect. The goal is simple: build new habits with daily consistent actions every morning. The execution is where most people struggle. They want change yet cling to comfort. They think change should feel exciting, but true change often feels uncomfortable at first. It pulls you out of warm beds and familiar patterns and into responsibility. If you want the next 6 months to look different from the last, your mornings must change. You do not need to wake up at dawn or copy someone else's routine. You simply need to wake up with intention and act on it. Start small. Many people fail because they try to change too much at once. A new diet, a new workout plan, meditation, journaling, reading, cold showers, affirmations. They stack so many new habits that the mind rejects them. Your brain craves familiarity. Overload it, and it will drag you back to old ways. But one new habit practiced daily becomes easier, then automatic, then part of who you are. Change begins with one action repeated consistently. This is how the human mind reshapes itself slowly, quietly, through daily exposure and reinforcement. Imagine waking each day to one clear task. Not 10, not 5. 1, that alone separates dreamers from builders. Your morning habits should serve your growth, not your ego. A routine is not something to show the world. It is an agreement you make with yourself. Each morning, you prove discipline. You prove that you can follow through. You prove that you are not a prisoner to yesterday's version of you. When your first action is something you chose intentionally, you enter the day as the driver, not the passenger. And when days stack like this one, deliberate morning after another, 6 months becomes a timeline full of transformation. Picture this: you wake up, and instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for yourself. You sit quietly, breathe, feel your thoughts before the world interrupts them. You drink water and feel it move through your body like a signal that life continues. You stretch, even for a minute, and feel your muscles wake along with your mind. You write down one goal for the day, not to impress anyone, but to guide your actions. You open a book or listen to something meaningful for 10 minutes, and new ideas start to replace old excuses. You step into the world calm, clear, and prepared. This is not complicated. It is discipline, and discipline builds a life that feels strong instead of chaotic. Many people believe change requires massive effort, but life is shaped in quiet repetition. A single morning does not transform you, but 6 months of intentional mornings can reshape how you think, act, and respond to everything around you. If you look back half a year from now, you won't remember each morning individually, but you will feel the difference they created. Anger will not rule you as easily, doubt will not silence your ambition. Lazy thoughts will not decide your direction. This is the power of habit, it becomes your character. Start with actions that build your mind. Awareness is the foundation of growth. Spend a few minutes each morning reflecting instead of reacting. Ask yourself simple questions. Who am I becoming? What choices do I need to make today? How can I improve even 1%? You are not searching for perfect answers. You are training your mind to think, to observe, to choose. While others wake with stress, you wake with purpose. Then build habits that strengthen your body. Movement is life. The body carries the mind, and a weak body often leads to a weak mindset. This doesn't require heavy weights or long workouts. Do a few push-ups, breathe deeply. Your goal is not to be extreme. It is to be consistent. A body that moves daily becomes stronger, more alive, more energetic. Over 6 months, you will notice the way you stand, the way you breathe, the way you feel about yourself. Growth is not loud. It is gradual and satisfying. Continue with habits that feed your knowledge. 10 minutes of reading each morning may not seem powerful, but 10 minutes multiplied by 6 months creates a mind that thinks differently from those who do not try. You learn new ideas. You challenge old beliefs. You grow without waiting for life to force growth upon you. Knowledge compounds the same way money does, slowly at first, then powerfully. The mind expands and your choices expand with it. Finally, build habits that strengthen discipline itself. Discipline is a muscle. The more you use it, the more it grows. When you follow through on your morning habits every day, even on days you feel tired or unmotivated, you are training your identity. You are teaching yourself that you can be trusted. The hardest part of change is believing you are capable of it. Morning habits prove this, one small victory at a time. Imagine yourself 6 months from now. You wake up and your habits happen naturally. You no longer struggle to begin your day with intention. It is simply who you are. You look in the mirror and see someone stronger, calmer, more directed. You do not feel lost because you built direction daily. You do not feel unfocused because you trained focus with action. You no longer wonder if change is possible. You hold evidence in your own reflection. Chapter 2. Create a clear 6-month personal growth goal plan. A 6-month personal growth goal plan is a commitment to direction instead of drifting through life, hoping things will improve on their own. Most people carry ideas of change in their minds, but very few sit with themselves long enough to define what that change should look like. A goal without clarity is only a wish, but a goal with structure becomes a map that guides your actions day after day. When you create a plan for 6 months, you are not just planning your future, you are taking responsibility for it. You are deciding how you want to think, work, grow, and live. You are taking your power back from uncertainty and replacing it with intention. A clear 6-month plan begins with an honest look at your life today. Growth does not start with dreams. It starts with self-awareness. You pause long enough to ask meaningful questions. What needs to improve? Where do you feel stuck? Which habits support you? And which habits hold you back? You sit with the truth even when it feels uncomfortable, because change comes from clarity, not denial. When you know where you are, you can decide where to go. Once you understand your current state, you begin shaping the next 6 months into something meaningful. You choose one major area to improve or a small number of areas you can manage without feeling overwhelmed. You decide with purpose instead of emotion, because growth requires focus. You may choose health, confidence, financial stability, skill development, emotional strength, or discipline. What matters is that the goal is deeply personal to you. A goal you choose for yourself carries more strength than a goal someone else expects from you. Clarity is power. So your 6-month plan must be specific and measurable. You need to know exactly what success will look like at the end of this time frame. Not get better, but exercise 5 days a week. Not be more confident, but speak up at work meetings twice a week. Not save money, but save 20% of my monthly income. When a goal is specific, the mind knows what to do. When a goal is vague, the mind avoids action. The more precise your vision, the easier it becomes to follow through. After defining the goal, you divide the 6 months into phases. Growth becomes easier when you break a long journey into smaller pieces. Each month becomes a milestone instead of a long stretch with no visible progress. You decide what needs to be achieved by the end of month 1, what must improve by month 3, and what the final outcome should be by month 6. This timeline prevents you from drifting. It keeps you accountable. It removes confusion and replaces it with structure you can track. You no longer live by hope. You live by a 6-month plan is not built for perfection. It is built for progress. You will have days of strength and days of struggle, but the plan remains your anchor. When motivation fades, the plan directs you. When doubt rises, the plan reminds you of your path. You no longer rely on feeling inspired. You rely on commitment. You understand that growth is earned through consistency, not emotion. That understanding alone separates those who transform their lives from those who repeat the same year again and again. You set daily and weekly actions that bring your 6-month goal closer. A goal is reached through steps, not leaps. Small tasks done consistently compound into major results. If your goal is fitness, you plan workouts, meals, hydration, sleep. If your goal is financial growth, you plan budgeting, saving, avoiding unnecessary purchases, learning income skills. If your goal is confidence, you plan practice, communication, body language, learning new strengths. You create actions that move you forward every week, not once in a while. A plan is not just written, it is lived. You write these actions down. Not because writing itself creates change, but because writing builds accountability. When words stay in the mind, they disappear under distraction. When they are written clearly, they become promises you can see. A written plan holds you to a higher standard. It tells you what must be done instead of what you hope to do. You no longer guess. You know, tracking progress is another part of a 6-month plan. You review your results, not through self-judgment, but self-observation. You want to know what worked and what needs adjustment. You want to understand your habits and behavior patterns. Progress tracking is not about perfection, it is about learning. Growth comes from reflection. When you see improvement, you gain confidence. When you see mistakes, you gain direction. Every week you adjust. Every week you sharpen your path. Every week you move closer to your goal. A powerful 6-month plan includes environments that support your growth. Your surroundings influence your decisions more than willpower alone. You remove distractions and add elements that align with your goals. If you want to write, you keep a notebook near your bed. If you want to exercise, you prepare your clothes the night before. If you want to learn, you schedule learning time and remove noise that steals focus. When your environment supports your growth, discipline becomes easier. You are not fighting against your surroundings, you are working with them. You also define why the goal matters to you. Purpose is fuel on difficult days. When challenges appear, your reason will keep you moving. You think deeply about how life will feel once the goal is achieved. You imagine the confidence, the strength, the freedom that comes from growth. You visualize the version of yourself who followed through for 6 months with discipline. This vision is not fantasy, it is direction. You are training your mind to move toward a future you believe in. Then you begin, not tomorrow or next month. You start within the day you made the plan because momentum matters. A goal remains an idea until action gives it life. The first day is always the hardest because it demands change. But once the first step is taken, the next becomes easier. You are proving something important to yourself. You are capable. You follow the plan through action, not intention. You show up daily because success grows from repeat. There will be challenges. There will be moments of doubt. You may feel slow progress at times, but slow progress is still progress. You are building a new life, not chasing instant results. A 6-month transformation is a gradual rise into a stronger version of yourself. You will notice subtle shifts first, increased awareness, better decisions, more discipline, then bigger changes appear, improved confidence, higher productivity, deeper self-respect. You will realize you are no longer the same person who began this journey. A clear 6-month personal growth plan is more than a list of goals. It is a promise to evolve. It is a choice to rewrite your future through action. It is evidence that you value progress more than comfort. 6 months from now, you could look back with pride instead of regret. You could say you committed to yourself and followed through. You could feel growth instead of wishing for it. You could stand in a life you built with intention. Nothing changes until you decide to. This plan is your decision, your path, your responsibility. 6 months can transform your entire identity if you move with clarity and discipline. The next chapter of your life is not written by chance. It is written by deliberate effort. One day at a time, guided by a plan that reflects who you are and who you want to become. Chapter 3. Break big goals into small steps you can track. Big goals often feel heavy because we try to carry them all at once. A dream looks distant and intimidating when we stare at the finish line without noticing the path beneath our feet. A goal becomes achievable when it is divided into pieces you can act on daily. 6 months is enough time to achieve something meaningful, but only if you break the journey into small steps you can measure. When progress is visible and trackable, motivation does not need to push you forward because the results pull you forward. You are no longer overwhelmed by how far you have to go because you are focused on what you can do today instead of everything you must do eventually. A large goal without structure often leads to procrastination, not because you do not care, but because the brain resists unclear work. When you set a goal like become healthy, or change my life, or grow my income, nothing in those statements tells you what needs to happen. The goal is interesting, but it is too large to act on. You need clarity. You need steps that are small enough to complete without hesitation. You need actions that can be done in a day or an hour, not tasks that require a month of strength to begin. That is how progress starts. Small, steady, measurable. Begin by writing down the goal in a simple sentence. Something specific. Something that can be observed. If you want to lose weight, decide how much. If you want to write a book, decide how many pages. If you want to build a business, decide what the business must achieve within 6 months. Now break the result into monthly targets. A 6-month goal becomes 6 smaller goals, each one realistic enough to pursue. Then break each month into weeks. Break each week into daily tasks. Now what once felt distant lies clearly in front of you. Each day moves you one step closer. Forward movement. You do not need perfection to achieve a goal. You need consistency. A plan built on small steps is stronger than a plan built on big ideas. A plan you can act on today has more power than a plan waiting for the perfect moment. Instead of trying to change your entire life in one sweep, focus on one step you can finish before the day ends. One email sent, one workout completed, one chapter written, one investment made. Small steps stack like bricks, and over time, they build something lasting. Tracking progress keeps you accountable. You keep record of what you complete, not as pressure, but as proof. A journal, a calendar, a digital tracker. Any method works as long as you update it daily. Each time you cross off a task, you strengthen belief in your ability. You are showing yourself tangible progress, not relying on motivation or memory. You see improvement instead of guessing. Progress becomes visible, real, measurable. You can hold it in your hands through evidence, and evidence builds confidence. Breaking goals into steps does something powerful to your mindset. It removes the illusion that growth is impossible. You stop thinking about what you have not achieved yet and start focusing on what you did today. You stop chasing huge results and start producing small wins. These wins create momentum. When you follow a small daily step repeatedly, you teach your mind discipline. You are no longer someone who wishes for progress. You are someone who creates it. Every step reminds you that success is not built from dramatic moments, but from everyday effort. When a step feels too big, break it again. If writing a book feels overwhelming, write one page. If one page feels heavy, write one paragraph. If a paragraph still scares you, write one sentence forward. Motion is always more valuable than perfection. You do not shrink the goal because you doubt yourself. You divide the goal because you believe in progress. Every action contributes to a bigger outcome, and every outcome began with a small step taken seriously, not rushed, not forced, done intentionally. Visualizing the steps is helpful. Picture the next 6 months like a staircase. You cannot jump to the top, but you can climb one step at a time. Each step is meaningful. Each step counts. You do not compare yourself to someone else's staircase. You focus on your own, one level higher each week. You build strength through effort, not through comparison. You grow through your own timeline, not someone else's pace. Some days you will move slowly, some days you may move. Small steps prevent burnout because they keep you grounded. They remove pressure. Instead of feeling like you must conquer everything in one push, you accept that success is built gradually, a quiet, steady rise. You stay patient with yourself but never lazy. You stay focused but never overwhelmed. You progress without losing balance. Review your steps at the end of each week. Look at what worked, what stalled, and what needs adjustment. A goal is not rigid. It evolves with your experience. You might discover a faster path or a more effective system. You might notice obstacles that require new strategies. Progress tracking is not about punishment. It is observation learning. Improvement becomes intentional instead of accidental. Rewarding yourself for completed steps strengthens discipline, not with distractions or unhealthy habits, but with acknowledgement. Recognize the effort you gave. Appreciate the work you completed. A person who appreciates their own progress stays motivated longer than someone who demands perfection. Encouragement builds persistence. Persistence completes goals. A 6-month transformation becomes real through clear planning. You know what you want, you break it down, you track it, and you act daily, not once in a while. Not when you feel motivated every day. The journey becomes simple, because you only focus on the step in front of you, not the entire mountain. You climb quietly, steadily, intentionally. Think about how different life can be in half a year. New habits, new strength, new confidence, new results. Not because you changed everything instantly, but because you completed small steps regularly. You grow into someone you respect. You trust your actions because they produce visible outcomes. 6 months later, you stand in a life built by discipline instead of desire. The power of breaking goals down is that it gives you control. You decide what today requires, you decide what tomorrow improves. You decide how far you rise. This chapter is not about aiming lower. It is about creating a path toward aiming higher with clarity and direction. You no longer wait for motivation. You no longer surrender to overwhelm. You move, step by step, consistently, patiently, powerfully, toward the life you want. Chapter 4. Strengthen your mind by reading and learning each day. Strengthening your mind begins with feeding it the right input every day. If you want 6 months to impact your life, you must give your mind the material to grow. A mind that receives no new information repeats the same thoughts, decisions, and limits. Reading and learning daily creates progress from within, shaping the quality of your thinking and improving your ability to solve problems, control emotions, and make productive choices. Even a few minutes of reading each day opens doors that remain closed for those who never seek new knowledge. Growth happens in the brain before it happens in reality, and reading is one of the simplest ways to expand who you are. You become more understanding, more patient, more capable when you expose your mind to ideas beyond your own. Books give you access to lessons earned over decades by someone else. They allow you to experience lives you have never lived, challenges you have not faced, wisdom you have not learned through pain. Every page offers insight you can carry into your life without paying the same cost the writer did. Learning through reading saves time, protects you from repeated mistakes, and gives you clarity when confusion appears. You grow without waiting for hardship to force growth upon you. Learning daily trains the brain to remain active. Many people stop learning after school, not because they no longer need knowledge, but because they never built the habit of seeking it. Their thoughts stay recycled, their perspective stays narrow, and decisions become predictable. When you learn something new each day, you sharpen your mental abilities, you improve focus, memory, and reasoning. You begin to see solutions where you once saw obstacles. You no longer react blindly to life because you understand more about how the world works and how people function. A stronger mind leads to a more stable. You do not need hours of study to grow. Even short daily learning sessions can change the way you think. 10 to 20 minutes of reading, listening to educational material, or studying a topic of interest is enough to create noticeable improvement over 6 months. What matters is consistency, not duration. When learning becomes part of your daily routine, your brain expects stimulation instead of comfort. You train it to search for information, not entertainment. Over time, curiosity replaces boredom. You begin to crave self-improvement instead of distraction. Choose material that aligns with the life you want to build. Read books that challenge your thinking, motivate your effort, or teach new skills. Study subjects that strengthen your character, your financial intelligence, your confidence, your mindset. Read about people who accomplished what you aim to achieve. Learn how they lived, how they overcame failure, how they kept going when doubt followed them. Let their stories guide your own journey. You do not need to copy anyone's path, but you can learn from the patterns of success and apply them to your own life. Reading increases emotional intelligence by exposing you to human experience. Fiction strengthens empathy. Non-fiction strengthens strategy. Biographies give you courage. Through example, personal development books teach discipline and mindset. Philosophy builds self-control and clarity. Finance books teach stability. Scientific reading grows logic. Literature stretches imagination. Every genre offers something of value when approached with intention. A balanced reading list develops a balanced mind. Learning each day does not end with books. Growth can come from conversation with knowledgeable people, listening to educational talks, exploring new ideas, practicing new skills, or observing the world more consciously. Learning happens any time you challenge your habitual ways of thinking. Asking questions builds intelligence. Seeking answers builds depth. Exposing yourself to new ideas strengthens awareness. You become someone who improves continuously instead of someone who stands still. Knowledge that is not applied remains unused. Learning becomes powerful when you integrate what you read into your actions. After reading something meaningful, pause and consider how it applies to your life. Ask yourself what you learned, how it can be used, and what you will do with it. Translate ideas into behavior. If you read about productivity, adjust your schedule. If you study health, improve your habits. If you learn about communication, practice speaking with clarity. Knowledge becomes wisdom through action, not accumulation. A stronger mind allows you to handle difficult moments with stability. Challenges no longer break you easily because you have understanding and mental discipline. You think before reacting. You evaluate instead of panicking. You make decisions based on reason rather than emotion. This strength is built through daily learning, not sudden inspiration. 6 months of consistent mental growth results in calmness you did not have before, patience that replaces frustration, and resilience that supports you when life tests your resolve. Tracking your learning helps reinforce progress. Keep a simple record of what you read each day. Write down one lesson, one insight, one idea worth remembering. Over 6 months, this record becomes a collection of wisdom shaped by your dedication. You will see your growth in written form. You will notice how your thinking evolved, how your decisions improved, and how your understanding deepened. This reflection strengthens confidence in your ability to change. A mind fed daily with knowledge becomes sharper, wiser, and more capable. A mind left unfed grows dull, reactive, and limited. The difference between those who improve and those who remain unchanged often lies in what they consume. You can spend 6 months filling your mind with entertainment, or you can spend 6 months feeding it information that elevates your life. One path leads to stagnation, the other leads to progress. The choice is yours, repeated one day at a time. In half a year, you can become someone with deeper insight, richer thinking, and stronger mental discipline. You can develop a mindset that responds with intelligence rather than impulse. You can carry within you a library of perspectives, lessons, and strategies collected through consistent reading. Your mind becomes an asset rather than a barrier. You think with clarity instead of confusion. You act with precision instead of hesitation. 6 months from now, your intelligence can be noticeably stronger. Your confidence can grow because you understand more about yourself and the world. Your decisions can improve because they are supported by knowledge, not guesswork. A commitment to reading and learning daily is one of the most powerful promises you can make to yourself. It asks for time, but it returns growth. It demands consistency, but it rewards transformation. Chapter 5. Improve your health through simple everyday movement and nutrition. Your body carries you through every decision, every responsibility, and every moment of your life. If you want 6 months to transform you, the transformation must include your physical health. A healthy body supports a clear mind, stable emotions, and consistent effort. When the body is weak or neglected, even simple tasks can feel difficult. Growth becomes harder, not because you lack ambition, but because you lack energy. Improving your health does not require extreme routines or complicated diets. It begins with simple movement and mindful nutrition practiced daily with patience and respect for your body. Movement is the most natural form of life. The human body is not meant to remain inactive for long hours. Even light movement each day strengthens muscles, improves blood flow, boosts mood, and sharpens mental clarity. When you move your body, you remind it that it is alive. A short walk, gentle stretching, body weight exercises, or light yoga can enhance your well-being more than most people realize. You do not need intense training to feel better. You need consistency. A body that moves every day becomes more resilient, more flexible, and more energetic. Start by adding small amounts of activity into your day. Walk when you would usually sit. Use stairs instead of elevators. Stretch while listening to music or during breaks. These simple actions require little effort, yet contribute to long-term health. When movement becomes a habit, physical activity no longer feels like a task. It becomes a natural part of daily living. Over 6 months, small movements accumulate into noticeable strength. Your stamina increases, your posture improves, your breathing deepens. Your confidence grows with every step you take. Strength training, even at a basic level, builds a stronger foundation for life. Simple exercises like push-ups, squats, lunges, and planks can be done anywhere without equipment. These movements enhance muscle strength, bone health, and metabolism. When muscles are active, your body burns energy more efficiently. You feel lighter, stronger, more capable. Strength in the body often leads to strength in the mind because you prove to yourself that you can handle challenge. The discipline to move every day reinforces your belief in your ability to grow. Along with movement, nutrition plays a central role in your well-being. Food is fuel, and the quality of your energy depends on the quality of what you consume. Eating real, whole foods more often while reducing processed foods can dramatically improve the way you feel. Fresh vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and clean hydration support your body with nutrients it can use. Your mind becomes clearer, your mood becomes steadier, your energy lasts longer. You reduce fatigue, not by searching for motivation, but by feeding your body properly. Healthy eating does not mean restriction or perfection. It means awareness. It means choosing foods that support your goals instead of sabotage them. You begin to notice how food affects your energy, mood, and performance. Meals become conscious decisions, rather than habits of convenience. You slow down when eating, appreciate the taste, and recognize when you are full. Eating mindfully prevents overeating and builds a healthier relationship with food. Nutrition becomes a form of self-respect rather than a source of guilt. Hydration is often overlooked but essential. Water supports every function in the body. Many experience fatigue and low focus, not because they lack drive, but because they are dehydrated. Drinking enough water throughout the day improves digestion, skin health, energy levels, and cognitive function. A hydrated body recovers better, moves better, and thinks better. Replacing sugary drinks with water is one of the simplest steps you can take to improve health in 6 months. Sleep is another overlooked pillar of health. Movement and nutrition cannot compensate for lack of rest. A strong body requires recovery. Quality sleep repairs muscles, balances hormones, and restores mental clarity. When you prioritize sleep, you wake with more strength to pursue your goals. A rested mind learns faster. A rested body moves easier. Adjusting your sleep schedule even slightly can elevate your performance throughout the day. Treat sleep as a part of your health plan, not an afterthought. Track your habits without judgment. Notice how your body responds to daily movement and balanced nutrition. Celebrate progress. Clothes fitting differently, mood improving, energy lasting longer. These signals show your growth. Progress does not always show immediately, but it accumulates. You will feel lighter physically and mentally. You will notice tasks that once felt exhausting become manageable. You will see signs of improvement in your reflection and actions. A healthier body builds discipline. When you choose nutritious meals over emotional eating or daily movement over comfort, you reinforce self-respect. You are proving that you are capable of caring for yourself. These small decisions shape identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who values health, someone who is ready for more. Your self-image shifts through action, not affirmation. 6 months of simple daily movement and mindful eating can reshape your health significantly. You do not need perfection to improve. You need persistence. Movement strengthens muscle and confidence. Nutrition strengthens energy and stability. Hydration strengthens function and clarity. Sleep strengthens recovery and resilience. Each habit supports the others. Together they build a foundation for a stronger life. Imagine how your body could feel half a year from now, lighter, stronger, more alive. Imagine waking with energy instead of fatigue. Imagine trusting your body because you have trained it with care. Imagine a mirror reflecting not only physical improvement, but personal growth. Your body becomes a symbol of discipline, not luck. You respect it because you built it through daily choices. Health is not a destination, it is a practice, a lifestyle. A promise to yourself that you will not settle for surviving when you have the ability to thrive. If you give your body consistent movement and nourishing food, it will respond with strength and vitality. 6 months is enough to rewrite your physical reality, step by step, meal by meal. You create health with intention. Growth is not found in intensity. Growth is built in simplicity repeated daily. You do not need to chase perfection. You only need to choose better, more often with patience. Your body will reward you for the care you give it. You will feel the difference every morning you wake with energy that guides your goals. Chapter 6. Increase focus by removing distractions from your daily life. Focus is one of the most valuable abilities a person can develop. Yet it fades easily in a world full of distraction. Every notification, every open tab, every interruption steals a small amount of mental energy. Over time, these stolen moments accumulate, and the mind becomes scattered rather than steady. If you want 6 months to change your life, you must remove what weakens your attention and replace it with intentional focus. A focused mind makes progress faster. A distracted mind stays stuck even with effort. The difference is not intelligence or talent. It is the ability to direct thought without being pulled away. Modern life offers constant stimulation. A phone is rarely out of reach. Social media waits with endless scrolling. Messages arrive at random. Noise surrounds you. These distractions appear small individually, but collectively they control your time. You may plan to work for an hour, but 10 minutes disappear to checking your feed, another 5 to answering notifications, another few to wandering thoughts. Focus drains slowly, unnoticed. Removing distractions is not about restricting your life. It is about protecting your attention so you can use it wisely. The mind works best when given space, silence and direction. To increase focus, start by reducing digital noise. Silence notifications. Keep your phone out of reach during work periods. Use airplane mode when you need deep concentration. These steps require discipline at first, but soon they feel natural. When you reduce the pull of technology, your thoughts become clearer. You no longer respond instantly to every sound. You control when to engage. This simple shift returns power to your mind rather than your devices. Create an environment that supports focus. A clean, organized space reduces distraction. Clutter signals the brain to divide attention, making concentration harder. A tidy space tells your mind what matters. Keep only what you need within your workspace. Remove things that draw your eyes away. A focused environment creates a focused mind because there is nothing competing for attention. You direct energy into your work instead of managing chaos around you. Time needs structure for focus to grow. When your day has no order, the brain wanders. Assign specific time periods for important tasks. Create blocks for work, study, planning, and personal growth. During these blocks, commit fully to one task. Avoid multitasking because it divides attention and lowers quality. Doing one thing with full focus is more effective than doing many things without depth. Your work becomes stronger, cleaner, faster. You achieve more not by working harder, but by working without interruption. Identify distractions that come from within. External noise is easier to control than internal noise. Thoughts, worries, boredom, and impulse can interrupt focus even in silence. Train your mind to recognize when attention drifts. Pause, breathe, and return to the task without judgment. You are teaching your mind to stay present. Focus becomes a skill, strengthened by practice the same way the body strengthens through movement. The more often you return to your task, the easier it becomes to stay with it. Break tasks into smaller pieces to maintain attention. Long tasks can overwhelm the mind, leading to avoidance. When you divide work into small segments, each part feels manageable. Focus increases because completion feels close. After finishing one part, begin the next. Momentum grows naturally. You move forward with clarity. Step by step, progress replaces distraction. Rest plays a role in focus as well. The mind cannot operate at its best under exhaustion. Short breaks allow the brain to reset, preventing burnout. Stand up, breathe fresh air, stretch, or drink water. A short pause improves clarity and restores energy. Rest is not laziness when done intentionally. It is maintenance. A mind that rests well works better. Productivity increases when you respect balance. Focus also depends on your values. When you deeply care about your goals, distractions lose power. You are less tempted by noise because growth matters more. Define why your tasks are important. Understand how they benefit your future. When meaning is clear, discipline follows. You no longer force yourself to focus, you choose to. Motivation may fade at times, but purpose remains. Purpose directs attention even when energy is low. Remove habits that steal time without benefit. Excessive social scrolling, random browsing, unnecessary conversations, and constant entertainment weaken discipline. These habits offer comfort but remove progress. You do not need to eliminate enjoyment, but you must limit it. Schedule time for relaxation, rather than allowing it to interrupt meaningful work. You are not restricting freedom. You are choosing growth over distraction. Practice being fully present in simple tasks. When eating, focus on eating. When exercising, focus on movement. When reading, give attention to words. Presence strengthens concentration in all areas. The mind learns to stay where the body is instead of drifting into endless thoughts. Living with attention improves quality of life because you experience each moment instead of rushing through it distracted. Reflection deepens focus. At the end of each day, review how you spent your time. Notice which activities contributed to growth and which drained attention. Awareness reveals patterns. You may discover that certain habits pull you away from work, or certain environments weaken concentration. Use this knowledge to adjust. Improvement happens when you understand yourself. Each day becomes an opportunity to refine focus further. 6 months of reduced distraction can transform your ability to think clearly. You begin to finish tasks that once took twice as long. You retain more from what you learn. You feel calmer because your mind is no longer overloaded. You respond to life with intention instead of reacting automatically. Focus becomes your advantage in a world where attention is constantly under attack. Imagine your days 6 months from now. You wake with clarity rather than noise. You work without constant interruption. You learn faster because your mind holds information longer. You finish what you start. Goals that once felt distant move closer, not because you worked endlessly, but because your attention was no longer scattered. You gave your mind space, direction, and peace. A focused life is not an accident. It is built through choices that honor your priorities. It is shaped by what you remove as much as by what you add. When distractions fall away, progress rises. You think deeper, you act stronger. You become someone who does not waste time because time is valuable. A person with focus is a person capable of transformation. 6 months of focused living can elevate your life more than years of distracted effort. You are capable of deep concentration. You are capable of discipline. You are capable of change. Remove what weakens your attention, and you reveal what your mind can accomplish when given full power. Focus is freedom. Focus is strength. Focus is the doorway to the life you want to build. Chapter 7. Practice calm thinking through short daily reflection sessions. Calm thinking is a skill, not a personality trait. It does not appear suddenly during moments of stress or confusion. It is built slowly through deliberate reflection, through quiet time spent with your own thoughts, through the habit of slowing your mind instead of reacting to everything around you. A short daily reflection session may seem simple, even insignificant, but its impact can shape the way you respond to life. When you reflect, you clear mental noise, refine your judgment, and approach challenges with stability rather than impulse. 6 months of regular reflection can create inner steadiness that no external situation can easily break. Reflection is a moment where you return to yourself. It is time set aside to think without pressure, to observe without judgment, to understand rather than react. Many people move through life quickly, rushing from one task to the next, never pausing long enough to consider their thoughts or motives. Without reflection, problems repeat, lessons are missed, and emotions control decisions. Calm thinking emerges when you give your mind space to breathe. A few quiet minutes each day can separate confusion from clarity, frustration from understanding, and noise from truth. A reflection session begins with silence. You sit still, without distraction, without expectation. You allow thoughts to rise naturally. You do not fight them or chase them. You simply watch. This teaches you something valuable. You are not your thoughts. You can observe them rather than obey them. Over time, this awareness gives you power over impulses, fears, and negative thinking. You learn to respond instead of react. You choose rather than follow automatic patterns. Calmness grows from the ability to step back mentally before acting. Reflection invites honesty. You look at your day as it was, not as you wish it had been. You review your actions, your decisions, your emotional responses. You recognize what you handled well and what you could improve. This honesty is not harsh. It is growth, focused. You are not judging yourself. You are learning from yourself. Improvement becomes intentional when awareness guides it. The person who reflects daily evolves through understanding instead of regret. Reflection does not require long sessions. 5 to 15 minutes is enough when done consistently. You can do it in the morning for direction or at night for review. You can reflect through quiet sitting, through writing in a journal, or through slow thought while breathing deeply. What matters is the presence of mind. Reflection is quality, not length. When done daily, it trains the brain to slow down rather than rush into anxiety or distraction. Your days feel lighter because your thoughts are no longer crowded. In reflection, you can ask yourself simple questions to guide your thinking. What did I do well today? What challenged me? What emotions controlled me? What choices could I improve tomorrow? What do I need to release? These questions uncover patterns that normally remain hidden beneath daily busyness. You begin to notice behaviors driven by habit instead of intention. You see where you are growing and where you remain stuck. Awareness leads to adjustment. Adjustment leads to progress. Reflection builds emotional resilience. When you process your feelings daily, they do not pile up. Stress loses its grip because you release it instead of carrying it into the next day. Anger dissolves when understood. Fear reduces when examined. Worries shrink when faced calmly. Reflection becomes a cleansing process for the mind. You enter each day with less emotional weight, more mental strength, and clearer priorities. 6 months of emotional clarity can transform your relationships, your communication, your confidence, and your inner peace. Calm thinking is not passive, it is active self-management. It teaches you to pause before speaking, breathe before reacting, think before deciding. Many conflicts and regrets in life come from impulse rather than clarity. Reflection gives you time to review your thoughts before they become words or actions. You reduce unnecessary arguments. You avoid repeating mistakes. You choose solutions instead of escalating problems. A calm mind is a powerful mind because it sees what emotion tries to hide. Reflection also deepens gratitude. When you pause to review your life, you notice progress you once ignored. Small achievements become meaningful. Ordinary moments feel valuable. Gratitude strengthens happiness from within, rather than depending on external results. A grateful mind reacts less to negativity because it sees abundance where stress once dominated. Gratitude makes calmness natural. Calmness makes growth sustainable. A short daily reflection can also strengthen self-trust. When you examine your life thoughtfully, you understand yourself more deeply. You learn your patterns, your motivations, your weaknesses, your strengths. You make decisions with confidence because you know the mind behind them. You do not need approval or validation from others. Reflection helps you become your own guide. A person who trusts themselves moves forward with assurance rather than hesitation. Over time, reflection sharpens your ability to focus. When the mind is uncluttered, attention remains steady. You think clearly, prioritize wisely, and act efficiently. You waste less time questioning your choices or replaying past mistakes. You live presently aware and grounded. What once overwhelmed you becomes manageable. What once felt chaotic becomes structured. Calmness is control, and reflection is how you create it. Reflection is also a tool for evaluating whether your actions align with your goals. A few minutes each day allows you to measure whether you lived by your priorities or by distraction. Did you move forward or remain still? Did you act with intention or with habit? Did you honor your values or ignore them? These questions strengthen discipline. They turn 6 months into a measured journey rather than a vague hope. Reflection reveals progress and prevents self-deception. You cannot lie to yourself when you see your day clearly. Imagine how much mental clarity you could gain if you paused for reflection every day for 6 months. Your thoughts would become organized, your decisions would become sharper, stress would lose its power, your reactions would become controlled instead of chaotic. You would see your own growth. With open eyes you would know yourself, not vaguely, not partially, but deeply. A calm mind is not something you wait to develop. It is something you build, one reflection session at a time, one quiet moment at a time, one awareness at a time. When reflection becomes daily practice, inner calm becomes your natural state. Instead of something you chase, you live with balance instead of overwhelm. You think with clarity instead of confusion. You act with purpose instead of impulse. 6 months from now, you could stand inside a more peaceful mind. You could breathe easier, think cleaner, and respond with strength. You could guide yourself through challenges with maturity and understanding. Calm thinking is not a luxury. It is a necessity for a life built on growth. A few minutes of reflection each day can shape the person you become for years to come. Chapter 8. Take bold action even when you feel uncomfortable. Growth rarely comes wrapped in comfort. Progress demands movement into unfamiliar territory, places where doubt appears, where fear whispers, where excuses try to keep you still. Taking bold action is not the absence of fear, it is choosing to move anyway. If you want 6 months to transform your life, you must learn to step forward when comfort asks you to remain the same. Many dreams fade because they are never acted upon, not because they were impossible, but because the person who carried them waited for confidence instead of creating it through action. Bold action is uncomfortable because it challenges your identity. When you do something new, you meet a version of yourself you have not grown into yet. It feels uncertain. It feels awkward. It feels risky. But discomfort is a sign that you are expanding your limits. When you avoid discomfort, you also avoid the growth waiting beyond it. When you face discomfort, you unlock new strength. Every bold action becomes evidence that you are capable of more than you once believed. The first step toward bold action is accepting that discomfort is part of the process. You cannot wait for perfect timing, perfect courage, or perfect conditions. You take action with what you have and who you are today. Confidence grows through repetition, not imagination. You become courageous by doing courageous things. The moment you act, doubt loses power. Fear shrinks when challenged. You rise when you refuse to remain still. Start with actions that stretch you slightly beyond your comfort. Make the call you have been avoiding. Begin the project you have delayed. Speak up instead of staying silent. Try something new without fearing imperfection. When you push through resistance, you build emotional strength. Each time you act boldly, you train your mind to handle discomfort. What once felt difficult becomes normal. Growth becomes momentum rather than struggle. Bold action requires clarity. When you know what matters, hesitation fades. Identify what you want with honesty. Ask yourself what actions support that desire. Then commit to the steps required, even if they feel uncomfortable. Without action, goals remain ideas. Ideas do not change lives. Decisions followed by movement do. You do not need motivation every day, but you need willingness. Willingness to step forward when it feels easier to remain still. Fear often exaggerates outcomes. It creates worst-case scenarios in your mind, making risks seem larger than they are. When you take action, you realize most fears are imagined, not real. Reality is rarely as painful as fear predicts. You learn that discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. Action reveals truth. Hesitation preserves illusion. When you act boldly, you experience life, instead of thinking endlessly about it. Bold action does not guarantee success immediately, but it guarantees development. You learn through experience, not theory. You gain skills by doing. Not thinking mistakes become information. Setbacks become lessons. Every attempt sharpens your ability. You adapt, improve, and return stronger. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the path. The only real failure is refusing to start. You must trust yourself enough to take risks. Self-trust is built through action. When you follow through, you prove reliability to yourself. You stop questioning your ability. You stop seeking permission. You become someone who acts instead of someone who hesitates. Self-trust becomes inner power, guiding you through uncertainty with calm strength. 6 months of bold decisions can reshape how you see yourself entirely. Surround yourself with people who encourage progress, not comfort. Those who fear growth may try to convince you to stay where you are. Their words reflect their own limits, not yours. Choose environments that push you to think bigger, act stronger, and move forward. Support fuels courage. Courage fuels outcomes. Growth requires you to leave behind what holds you back, whether that is old habits, old beliefs, or old influences. When bold action becomes routine, challenges shrink. You approach life with a proactive mindset. You seek opportunity instead of waiting for it. You take responsibility instead of blaming circumstances. Movement creates possibility. Each action expands your world. Opportunities appear more often because you place yourself where they exist. A person who acts boldly meets life halfway. They do not wait for change, they initiate it. Bold action also demands patience. Results do not always appear immediately. You may push forward and see little progress at first. This does not mean you should stop. It means growth is building beneath the surface. The process is shaping you even when outcomes are not visible yet. Persistence matters more than speed. Consistent action beats rare bursts of effort. 6 months of steady boldness can achieve more than years of careful hesitation. Discomfort becomes less intimidating the more you face it. You realize it does not break you, it strengthens you. You begin to see discomfort as a sign you are moving in the right direction, not a warning to stop. You no longer turn away from challenge. You move through it with purpose. Courage becomes a habit instead of a struggle. Action becomes your default instead of delay. Imagine where bold action could lead you. A new skill mastered, a new career started, a healthier lifestyle built, a dream once distant now within reach. You become someone who does not wait for the perfect moment, because you understand the moment becomes perfect when you act. Life rewards movement. The next 6 months hold potential you can only unlock through action. Comfort feels safe, but growth lives outside it. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of uncomfortable choices. If you believe you can achieve more, prove it through action. Challenge your limits. Step forward, even when unsure. Do what others avoid. Become the one who moves instead of standing still. 6 months of bold action can create breakthroughs you once thought belonged only to others. You do not need to eliminate fear to rise. You need to walk with it. Courage is built through action. Progress is earned through discomfort. Your future grows every time you choose to do what scares you instead of what soothes you. Chapter 9. Review your progress weekly and adjust your direction. Growth is not only built through action, but through awareness of what that action creates. A person who moves forward without reflection may work hard, yet never arrive where they want to be. Weekly progress review is how you guide your direction with clarity instead of guesswork. It prevents you from drifting off course. It shows you what is working, what needs change, and where you must focus your energy next. When you review your progress every week, you take control of your growth, instead of letting time pass without understanding. 6 months of weekly evaluation can produce more improvement than years of unexamined effort. A weekly review is a moment to pause and see your life from above. You step back from the routine and look at your actions with fresh eyes. You are not judging yourself harshly. You are learning. You are observing results instead of assuming them. You write down what you accomplished, no matter how small. You acknowledge effort, progress, discipline. You also note what you avoided or delayed. This honesty strengthens responsibility. You stop hiding from your habits and begin shaping them. Tracking progress reveals patterns you cannot notice while inside the week. You may see that certain days are more productive, that some habits strengthen consistency, while others weaken commitment. You learn how your energy flows. You understand yourself more deeply. When patterns are visible, change becomes possible. You adjust your plan not out of frustration, but out of wisdom. You do not repeat mistakes out of habit. You refine your approach based on evidence. Weekly review prevents discouragement. When you feel stuck, written progress shows you how far you have come. Small steps that felt insignificant during busy days become satisfying when seen together. Growth often hides in routine until reviewed clearly. You may realize you improved your discipline, sharpened your mind, strengthened your health, or completed tasks you once avoided. These realizations fuel motivation from within. You see proof, not hope. Adjusting direction is just as important as tracking effort. A plan may look perfect on paper, but real life teaches what works and what does not. Weekly review helps you adapt without losing momentum. You shift strategies when needed. You redirect time toward higher value tasks. You refine habits to create better outcomes. Growth is not rigid. It evolves as you do. When you adjust weekly, you prevent failure from becoming permanent. You learn, realign, and continue moving. During weekly review, ask yourself clear questions. Did I follow through on my goals? What did I learn about myself? What steps brought results? What slowed progress? What can I do better next week? These questions train your mind to think like a builder, not a drifter. You are no longer acting blindly. You act with intention shaped by reflection. You live with awareness rather than routine. A weekly review also strengthens discipline. When you know you will evaluate your choices, you naturally act more responsibly throughout the week. You think before skipping important tasks because you know it will appear in your review. Accountability becomes internal instead of external. You are responsible to your future, not to anyone else. When accountability becomes self-guided, growth becomes unstoppable. Adjustment is not a sign of failure, it is a sign of intelligence. You do not stubbornly follow a plan that no longer fits your goals. You change direction when needed while still moving forward. If a strategy is weak, replace it. If a habit drains energy, refine it. If a routine lacks balance, restructure it. You keep what works and release what does not. Progress is not about perfection, it is about alignment. Weekly review also strengthens confidence. You see yourself evolving consistently. You see effort turning into results. You trust yourself more because you witness your growth with clarity. Confidence is built through evidence, not affirmation. Each review provides proof that change is happening. Even when progress feels slow, it exists in your records. You are becoming better each week rather than hoping for improvement one day. A weekly checkpoint protects your long-term goals from being forgotten. Life can easily pull your attention toward urgency instead of importance. Review reminds you of what truly matters. It brings your goals back into focus. You reconnect with your purpose and continue your path with renewed awareness. Without review, weeks can blur together, and priorities may fade beneath daily noise. With review, you remain centered and directed. Weekly reflection helps you manage time more wisely. You see where hours were wasted and where productivity peaked. You notice distractions that stole momentum. You identify opportunities for efficiency. You improve planning by learning from experience. Over 6 months, this awareness reshapes how you value time. You stop losing hours to meaningless tasks. You invest energy where it matters. You create progress intentionally. Weekly review is also a moment to celebrate. You acknowledge victories you might otherwise overlook. You recognize inner strength behind each completed action. You give yourself credit for persistence, effort, and discipline. Celebration fuels momentum. It reminds you that you are capable. It builds pride that encourages further commitment. A journey without appreciation feels heavy. A journey with acknowledgement feels meaningful. Some weeks will go well. Others will challenge you. Reviewing both is important. Successful weeks show what to repeat. Difficult weeks show where growth is needed. You do not fear bad weeks because they provide direction. Every setback becomes a lesson rather than a defeat. You rise higher because you understand yourself more clearly. 6 months of weekly review creates structured transformation. You move forward with purpose instead of wandering. You measure progress rather than guessing. You adjust intelligently instead of stubbornly repeating mistakes. You live as someone who guides their own life instead of someone carried by circumstance. Improvement becomes constant, steady, and controlled. Imagine looking back after half a year and seeing 52 recorded reflections. You would hold a map of your growth, your habits evolving, your discipline strengthening, your results increasing. You would understand yourself deeply because you studied yourself consistently. Few people do this. Few people build a life through conscious adjustment, but those who do transform faster than they ever expected. Weekly review and adjustment is your steering wheel. It keeps you aligned with your goals. It prevents wasted effort. It ensures your actions lead somewhere meaningful. A person who reviews weekly does not drift. They progress. They adapt. They rise. Chapter 10. Protect your energy by choosing positive daily influences. Energy is the fuel behind every choice you make. Your habits, your discipline, your goals, and your growth depend on the strength of the energy you carry. When your energy is high, challenges feel manageable and progress feels natural. When your energy is drained, even small tasks can feel overwhelming. Protecting your energy is not about isolating yourself from life. It is about choosing what and who you allow into your mind each day. Positive influences elevate you. Negative influences pull you downward. If you want 6 months to reshape your life, you must surround yourself with inputs that strengthen your mindset instead of weaken it. The people around you matter. Their language, behavior, attitude, and worldview influence your own. If you spend time with those who complain, doubt, fear, growth, or speak without hope, you begin absorbing that energy. You may not notice it at first, but eventually your thoughts reflect their thinking. The opposite is also true. If you surround yourself with people who act with purpose, who speak with clarity, who live with ambition and balance, your own energy rises. You feel challenged, inspired, encouraged. Who you allow into your daily environment shapes your beliefs and your direction. You do not need to cut people out harshly, but you must choose how much access they have to your mind. You can love someone and still limit their influence if their energy drains you. You can care for someone while protecting your peace. You owe yourself a space where your growth is not constantly threatened by negativity. Boundaries are not distance. They are self-respect. When you set them, you make room for the connections that support your best self. Daily influences extend beyond people. What you read, watch, listen to, and think about also shapes your energy. Every piece of content you consume either strengthens or weakens your mental state. If your feed is filled with arguments, gossip, fear, or comparison, your mind absorbs those emotions. You become restless, insecure, reactive, but when you choose to follow sources that educate, motivate, uplift, and challenge you constructively, your energy stays protected. You feel grounded rather than scattered. You feel capable rather than doubtful. You feel empowered instead of drained. Protecting your energy means being intentional with your attention. Not everything deserves space in your mind. You choose what you absorb the same way you choose what you eat. Just as unhealthy food weakens the body, unhealthy influence weakens the spirit. You are not passive. You are the gatekeeper of your internal world. You decide what enters. Positive influences are not always loud or dramatic. They are found in small daily choices. A book that strengthens mindset, music that calms your thoughts, conversations that bring clarity, routines that build peace, nature that resets stress, stillness that returns focus. These quiet influences nourish you. They restore balance. They deepen self-awareness. 6 months of these choices can change the way you carry. You no longer feel drained by life, but supported by it. Your environment plays a role as well. A clean, organized space protects energy by reducing mental chaos. Simple surroundings prevent overstimulation and help the mind rest. A peaceful home supports clarity. A cluttered home creates tension. When you design your physical space with care, your internal space becomes calmer too. You feel lighter, focused, stable. Protecting your energy also means monitoring your inner dialogue. Sometimes the most draining voice is your own. If you constantly criticize yourself, compare yourself, or replay past mistakes, you weaken your strength from within. Practice speaking to yourself as you would to someone you care about. Encourage effort. Recognize progress. Correct mistakes with honesty, not punishment. Your internal voice can become your strongest influence. Make sure it supports the life you want, not the limits you fear. Gratitude strengthens energy when you focus on what is going right, instead of what is missing. Your emotional state shifts. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into comforting reminders of abundance. You feel lighter, kinder, more stable. Negative thoughts lose control when appreciation enters. Gratitude takes little time but offers powerful balance to the mind. You can practice it silently, through writing, or through observation. Over 6 months, gratitude can reshape your emotional climate entirely. Energy protection also requires rest. You cannot pour from an empty mind or tired body. Rest is not laziness. It is maintenance. When you give yourself time to reset, you return stronger. Quiet moments without screens, without noise, without obligations restore focus and reduce stress. You learn to relax without guilt. Rest becomes part of health, not a reward for exhaustion. A person who rests intentionally does not break. They sustain. They remain steady through long-term growth. Say no more often. Not every invitation, request, or expectation deserves your time. You do not need to please everyone. You do not need to participate in everything. You conserve energy when you choose commitments carefully. Every yes carries a cost. Every no protects your capacity. Choose what aligns with your values. Declining what drains you is an act of self-preservation. Protecting energy creates a new type of strength. You stop reacting to every emotion, every opinion, every distraction. You choose peace over noise, clarity over chaos, purpose over pressure. You direct your life. Instead of being pulled by external forces, your calm becomes noticeable. People may not understand at first, but your evolution will speak louder than explanation. 6 months of choosing positive influences can reshape your mindset in remarkable ways. You think clearly, feel grounded, and move confidently. You no longer seek validation because internal stability replaces the need for approval. You attract better relationships, healthier habits, stronger opportunities, not by demanding them, but by becoming aligned with them. Energy attracts energy. When you protect yours, you elevate what enters your life. Imagine waking 6 months from now with strength that comes from within. You feel balanced, supported, focused. You move through life without being drained by negativity. You carry a calm presence that cannot be easily shaken. You think with intention rather than reaction. You act from purpose rather than pressure. You built this state through daily influence, small pieces of positivity chosen again and again. Your energy is your responsibility. No one can protect it for you. No one can choose your influences but you. The next 6 months can either strengthen your spirit or weaken it depending on the choices you make. Choose what uplifts. Choose what challenges you to rise. Choose what builds peace, rather than chaos. Choose what aligns with who you wish to become. Transformation is not only about effort, it is also about protection. Growth happens when you nourish the mind and shield it from what drains it. With the right influences, you move forward with ease. With destructive influences, you fight your own environment. Protect your energy deliberately. A better life grows from a well-guarded mind.